Hello everyone, welcome to our first show when it comes to real estate marketing. We're going to talk about everything that you need to know in order to help you become a better agent when it comes to finding buyers and sellers. And in this episode specifically, we're going to unpack what you should be focusing less on when it comes to growing your real estate business and what you should be spending more time on in order to ensure that you move the actual needle and the opportunity for growth. So in studio, I have Wandile and I. He is the founder of Digital Agents. Wandile, maybe just a quick intro around what you do, who you are exactly, and then let's get started.
Thank you, brother. So my name is Wandile. You can go check me out on Instagram. I'm known as Mr. King Listing. And essentially what I do is I run a AI automated agency. And what we also do is we have a coaching element within it. And ultimately for us at the end of the day, it's just all about helping agents get more appointments so that they can get closer or one step closer to buyers and sellers and ultimately moving forward within the deal.
Awesome, man. I think it's a great market to be in. A lot of people might have different perspectives on where the market is in terms of this economic climate. There are times when it's going well. There are times when it's not doing so well. A lot of people are thriving. A lot of people are struggling at the same time. So there's that paradox, which is quite interesting. So I think in this episode, let's maybe unpack exactly what you think the people that are winning right now in the real estate industry, the agents that are winning, what are they doing right? And what should the people who are looking to improve their business, what should they be spending their time on specifically in order to move that revenue needle for themselves? So with that said, what do you think is the biggest time waster for real estate agents right now? What should they be doing less of, or what should they not prioritize as much when it comes to their business at the moment? Where do you think the time wasters are?
So where I see a lot of agents wasting their time, and it's just from what I've noticed working and speaking with hundreds of different agents, is they're wasting a lot of their time cold calling, and they just have this obscene obsession around just generating leads. Now, from what I've noticed, many agents go into your Lightstone, and Lightstone is just a platform where agents are able to capture information. So, for example, they're able to get homeowners' names, emails, phone numbers, and street addresses, and things like that. But from what I've noticed is that they're spending an ample amount of time going on Lightstone, finding that information, and number one, sorting out the leads, seeing where the leads are based, and then cold calling those leads, only to find out that those leads either don't pick up, or if they do eventually pick up, they're either in a meeting, they can't talk, or it's like, don't call me again. And I see that's where they spend majority of their time just trying to convert those leads, or trying to find leads in places where there just really isn't a place where they can find it, more from a perspective of wasting their time.
So is it safe to assume that they wasting time on not only trying to find the leads, but also when they do get the leads, it's almost like, well, how do I actually convert this into a really healthy appointment that could potentially lead into a buyer or a seller?
Exactly. I always like to say that you're not in the business of lead generation, you're in the business of lead conversion, because if we're looking at it from this perspective, leads don't equate money. And what I mean by that is, if you're late on your rent, you can't tell your landlord, hey, I got 1,000 leads this month. He's going to slap you in the face. He wants his rent. But what helps you get the money ultimately in the day is turning those leads into appointments. And then once you have those appointments and you have face-to-face with the seller or the buyer, then gets you closer to the money.
So people waste their time on chasing leads, and then they probably waste their time dealing with those leads because they're not doing it right, because nobody's really been trained on how to really appropriately deal with those leads on a psychological level to ensure that they convert into an appointment. Or a lot of them probably don't have filtering systems in place that can allow them to identify a weak quality lead versus a high quality lead. And what you're saying is people just randomly run around like headless chickens all day chasing leads, and it's almost like a dog with a bone. When they get them, it's almost like, oh, let's do this, let's do that. I'm not interested yet. And they probably could have found better solutions out there that not only can help them save time in generating leads, but also help them more efficiently convert those leads into appointments. That's really what I'm hearing you say, potentially.
Oh yeah, 1,000%. I do see that the common practice in real estate is the old adage where you need to go and get leads and chase after leads. But we're now moving in a world where you shouldn't be chasing for business. We're now in a place where it's all about positioning, and ultimately the focus is how can you position yourself as an expert where you start attracting leads coming to you, because then you're not running around like a headless chicken trying to find leads. The leads are finding you, and that's ultimately the focus. What I'm seeing with 2024 moving forward is attracting leads instead of chasing them. My mentor once told me that, Wandile, if you are always chasing leads, no matter how amazing you are in business, no matter how many years you've been in business, no matter how many reviews you have in business, if you're constantly chasing, you're always going to be viewed as a salesman. However, when you attract leads coming to you, you always will be viewed the expert. You're always going to be viewed as an expert. Even if you've only been in the industry for a couple of months' time, if people are coming to you and if you're attracting the leads coming to you, you're always going to be viewed as the expert, which ultimately helps you find the right clients, because then they're ultimately going to follow your lead, and they also would focus on taking the suggestions that you're providing at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, we want to do business with people that we like. And the thing is, when you're chasing leads, most oftentimes the seller or the buyer, they put in a higher pedestal, they put in a high position. And that's the reason why right now, from what I'm seeing in the market, is that many agents are complaining about how they getting open mandates, for example, and it's because they're chasing. But if you have the leads coming to you, then it just makes it a lot easier for you. So that's what I've noticed.
So, okay, we made it quite clear that people waste their time chasing leads and they struggle with the lead conversion process. With that said, what should they be doing instead? Like, we know that they should be attracting these leads because that's what you mentioned earlier. It makes so much sense. Don't chase, rather attract, and there are ways to do that. Maybe we can touch on how to do it. Well, what is the one thing they should focus on from an attracting standpoint that can allow them to be in that position where those people just naturally flow to them, as opposed to them having to run around like headless chickens looking for the next opportunity?
Building a personal brand, man. You know, in this industry, from what I've seen, many agents are just so shy. They don't want to build a personal brand. In fact, what they do is that they hide behind the brand that they represent. So what you would find is that you would find an agent who doesn't focus on building their own personal brand, but what they would do is that they would hide behind a Keller Williams or an EXP or Rawson Properties. And the problem is that sellers and buyers aren't necessarily focused on the brand that you're representing. They're focused on you as a person. And what's one thing I always like to say is that stop hiding behind the brand, because people aren't buying into that brand, they're buying into you. So if you want to start attracting leads, if you want to start attracting people coming towards you, then it's all about how can you provide solutions in the marketplace right now at the moment by creating content. So one of the things I always like to tell my clients is that you want to start creating the right content and also running ads simultaneously to, one, get the exposure, but at the same time, once they see you, then naturally what happens as humans, I think when you see an ad, most oftentimes you want to see, okay, who's actually running this ad and can I trust this business? So what would happen is that they would see your ad, then they will click on your profile. When they see your profile, then they see the videos that you're creating, which is ultimately, how do I say it? It's creating pain-driven content where you're providing solutions. So for example, if a seller is, let's say, for example, they're struggling to sell their house. So the conversations happening in the seller's mind is, how can I get my house to sell in this difficult market? Agents are not saying anything. Nobody's saying anything. It's quiet. And what I always like to tell my clients is that you want to be that person who is providing that voice of solution. So you want to start creating content that's ultimately providing solutions to those problems, so that by the time they find your content, they're like, aha, I didn't know that. Wow, this is interesting information. Boom. And that's how you attract the lead, by providing the solution and then getting them to come towards you, because you've now educated them, and no other agent is doing that at the moment. So while all the other agents are pestering them by cold calling, they're ultimately coming to you because you've taught them something, and that means a lot to your lead.
And there's a higher uptake of people then wanting to do an actual sole mandate with you, as opposed to you chasing all of these other leads, and they most likely have other agents who are trying to help them find a buyer or a seller, depending on. It makes so much sense, purely because we all know now in the marketing space and in the sales space, brand building space, that people want to work with people. people want to buy from people. And I think it's safe to assume that it's never been more true in any industry, probably than the real estate industry, because it's such a personal thing. You're buying a house, or you're selling a house, you're buying a house, especially buying a house, because it's like you're putting a ton of money into something that you're committing to for the next 5, 10 years or more. And you don't want to do that with a faceless corporation. You want to do that deal with someone that you trust, someone that you can almost believe in, that will find you the best deal for you and your family for the next 5 to 10 years or more. And I think it's almost like buying a car where the commitment barrier is a little bit less, but when you like the person on the other side and they have your best interest at heart and you feel like they've got, and they're like, this car maybe not so much, it's secondhand, like the guy before it, he was quite hard on this car, maybe it's not the best car for you, here's why, I looked at a few things, but you know what, I've actually found something. The moment you tell that prospect on the other side that this might not be the best one for you, but this one looks like it's ticking all the boxes, immediately there's this sense of trust and credibility that comes with it. And I feel in property, that is just amplified because of the commitment behind it. With that said, I think people want to work with people. It's probably more so true in the real estate industry than any other industry, and therefore building a personal brand can help you attract these people, because they're going to go, I like that person's personality. I've seen a video of him speaking. I have seen some of the knowledge that he shared. He had a checklist on what to look for when buying a house, or how you should position your house if you want to sell it potentially, or what boxes you need to tick before selling the house, or the person who's going to give you that value, whether it's through an ad or an email or an ebook or whatever it may be, that person is the person you're going to trust. And you're going to be a lot more inclined to actually allow that person to be the sole person who can find you a buyer or a seller. I'm assuming that's what you're alluding to.
Yes, 100%.
Love it, man. So essentially it's clear that people in the real estate industry, real estate agents, should spend less time chasing, running around like headless chickens. They should spend more time on creating an actual brand that can be seen as an authority in the space. Maybe we can just touch on a couple of tips, practical, to the point, things that you suggest real estate agents do that can help them build a personal brand in the area that they operate.
So first things first, they need to stop posting listings. You guys need to stop posting listings on your social media. Nobody likes to see listings every single day, day in, day out. We do not care. I don't know how you feel about that as well. Like if you had to follow a real estate agent and that's all you saw, it doesn't provide any value.
That's a classic example of using social media in the wrong way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is so interesting. So number one, stop posting listings. And
I mean, I think a lot of people sitting there going, oh, well, how else do I get eyeballs? So can we touch on, okay, we mentioned like not everybody wants to see that, but what is the downside of posting listings, all day, every day, because you're saying stop. What is the downside of doing that? You
remember, social media is all about interaction, especially more from a personal interaction. This is not LinkedIn. Okay, if you go on your social media, you're not seeing listings all day. What are you seeing? You're seeing the mother who maybe just congratulating the son for graduating. Maybe you're seeing a cat video. It's there for entertainment, and most oftentimes there's also a nice thin line of information. But if you're punting business all the time, I'm trying to find the right way, you're losing your personal touch. Because social media is all about creating relationships, personal relationships with people. They don't know who you are. They're just seeing listings the whole day. So the best way I could really provide advice is, instead of just posting listings, and I'm not saying that you should stop posting listings, but add in a little bit more about your day-to-day. So I know that many agents, they travel on a day-to-day basis, and they probably see so many things happening on a day-to-day basis. Start documenting that. We want to see what happens in a typical day in the life of an agent. And all you just have to do, especially for those who are camera shy, just fill up your camera. Let us see what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Show us something that's interesting. Maybe you listing an interesting house that has some quirky features. We want to see that. We want to see what are the things that you do on a day-to-day basis, just purely because the overall consensus is that real estate agents are just there to collect a check. You're just sitting at home, drinking coffee, collecting cash. But that's not the case. We know, well, I know that you guys know. You guys put a lot of time and effort into the deals. So we want to see what happens in the behind the scenes. So that's number one. Number two, the next thing you guys should be focusing on is providing education. I've been saying this for the past 2 to 3 years, is that education is the new marketing. So what I mean by that is start tapping into the mindset of your buyers and your sellers and start creating problem solution content that's focusing on providing a solution to whatever issue that they're having in very short bit-sized content. So I'd say about a minute max. So for example, here's the main reason why your house isn't selling, and then provide that main reason, and that's it. That aha moment could literally be the difference between you getting an open mandate and a sole mandate, just purely because they're learning a lot from you. And the last tip I would provide is ultimately just be authentic, show us a little bit more about who you are. So for example, on my stories, sometimes I go topless and I like speaking to my agents because I'm just done with the workout, and people know me because of that. So if you do something on a day-to-day basis that you keep towards yourself, we want to see it. That's the whole purpose of social media. How can you be more personable and also still introducing and showing exactly who you are and what you do? Because as I've always said, that it's not B2B or B2C. We don't do business with other businesses or business with consumers. We do business with people that we like to do business with. So I always like to say it's P2P, people to people. And if you can incorporate those three, you'll do very well.
Dude, I love that, man. That was amazing. I think we're going to cut it there for today's show. I think there was enough value in it. And thanks for joining me. I really enjoyed our talk. I hope there was some value in it for you on the other side. If there was, I want to encourage you to like and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for joining me, dude. All the best.
Thank you, brother.